What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the True Crime Talk Show, brought to you by Thought Riot Podcast. Make sure you do all the podcast things, hit all those podcast buttons. I don't know which ones, just, start clicking them. Just start hitting those buttons, all of them.
You don't know which ones?
Just whichever ones look nice that have a thumbs up. Those ones. Those ones.
Or, like the subscribe button.
Yeah. If you're not a subscriber, definitely subscribe. I would suggest that first, but welcome. We have a lot of new people that have joined recently, so welcome everybody. We're super happy to have you here. And I see some of the thought writers already in the chat. Welcome back everybody. And we're gonna dig into it. I left tonight kind of vague. One is the 4chan theory is such a big deal and has been such a big deal that I thought it was a good time to let that video roll over, because each time you put out a new video on YouTube, it kind of hides your last video, you know what I mean, until it gets picked back up later and gets seen and spread out there and everything. So I wanted to make sure that everyone got a chance to see it, because we're going to be digging into some of those details and some of the theories and ideas around it over the next coming weeks. And I figured that tonight we could also talk a little bit about some of the questions that I got, and I haven't even looked through all of them yet. You guys have done an awesome job about leaving comments, and I appreciate that. I appreciate that so much, and I am going to respond to every single one of them like we have been doing. I just am backed up from being sick last week, but I absolutely will get to it. But as I was looking through some of the comments, I figured we'll bring up some of those. We're going to talk a little bit about Chief Fry and the changes that he has coming in his career, and stick to some local information there from Moscow. You know what I mean? And I think that's a good indicator on what we can see to come in the case.
Yeah, for sure. I have hiccups. That's why I'm chugging water. So just thought I should mention that, because it probably looks kind of weird.
Oh, I thought you were sharing a secret with everyone. You're like, okay, everyone, it's really serious here. I have hiccups.
Indeed, I have hiccups.
Oh, just hiccups.
Yep, it's just hiccups. I just sent you 2 links. That
are we twins tonight? Unintentionally. I just wanted to be comfortable. I'm still sick and still getting over whatever has been going on. So make sure you guys hit that like button. We are on all our social medias, all of them. We're on everything. So we are /Thought Riot Podcast, and you can find us on any and all of them. I am going to post our membership link here, get all of that fun stuff out of the way, and then we will start digging into the conversation. So if you want to take over for a second.
Yeah, so how is everyone tonight? I've been looking into the police department a little bit today. I haven't dug as deep as I want to yet, but after talking about the police fraternity and all of that last night, it made me more curious about the culture in that police department, how they operate, and Chief Fry, what's going on with him, his big career changes, and how a lot of the people in the department have come and gone seemingly so quickly. And I don't know, I'm just really curious about how that police department operates. It just seems like it's got a revolving door.
Yeah, Yeah, no, it absolutely does feel that way. And that's one of the main topics I want to get into. So I guess we'll start with that first. Okay. So some of the local updates. So for those of you that didn't know, we have quite a few people that joined us last night that were first timers for watching us. So welcome everyone. We're just going to give everyone a quick rundown here. With us being a true crime talk show, we cover all crime, everything. It doesn't matter what it is. We cover cases that are 100 years old. We cover cases that are live and active right now. And we usually highlight one case specifically and then kind of pepper in all these other cases. Right now, it is the Idaho 4 case with Brian Koberger out of Moscow, Idaho, and the Idaho massacre. Within that, the chief of police during this investigation that was managing the police department when this crime occurred is Chief Fry. And Chief Fry is a relatively new chief, in my opinion. Based off the statistics I looked into, he's relatively new. Once you're a chief, you're usually in that position for quite a while. So anybody that knows how the corporate ladder works, as you go up, normally you're in at each position longer. Not always, right? Not everything fits into a box, but normally that is how it works. But with Chief Fry, I'm just shocked. It's convenient right now for him to be retiring.
So I had an article I wanted to pull up about him retiring because it gave me more information where I understood what was going on a little bit better.
Sure. Maybe you have information I don't.
I sent it to you on Discord. But Chief Fry, I know they use the term retired, but what I've come to find out is when they say retired, that doesn't mean like I'm old now and I'm just gonna like chill, I'm done working. That's not what that means necessarily for police. He's retiring from that position. You've reached your limit of free articles. Are you freaking kidding me? Hold on. I'll get it. He's actually moving on to run for sheriff.
Yeah. Okay. And that's exactly what we talked about 2 weeks ago, is how law enforcement is set up to where you can retire once you hit that retirement year and get your full pension and then move into another position.
Yep.
So is he trying to become sheriff, the elected position, or is
yes.
So he's trying to become elected sheriff.
Yes.
Okay.
He is running for sheriff. Not a deputy.
Okay. Yeah, I'm curious about this because I didn't know these details. It's interesting, right? It's interesting. Normally
what the heck?
You look for like a rise or an increase in your career when you're like riding the top of good news, you know?
Right.
I don't know if I would call this that, but
yeah, I don't know. Here, that way we got it now.
Okay. And you sent it?
No, hold on. Wait, where did it go? Is this the right one? There we go. Gosh, I just keep clicking everything I shouldn't be clicking.
Police officers can double dip in their pay. They can get a full pension and then they can move into another county. They can move into another state. They can move into sheriff and they're going to get their full pension, their normal pension pay, and be able to collect income from other areas. I wonder if for some reason Idaho has a lower standard to receive their pension.
A lower standard?
Yeah, like fewer amount of years required.
Maybe. But when you're retiring to go on to pursue something else in your career, like, are you still retiring and getting your pension and all of that?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Huh.
Yes, absolutely.
I just thought it was interesting because I've seen it with several actually different officers when I was looking into it. That when they say retire, that doesn't necessarily mean they're not gonna work anymore.
No,
And
no. I wasn't coming at it from that angle. I'm interested that, you know, he used it as a potential springboard, right? Like, yes, we had this major crime and we got the guy, but did we? You know what I mean? It's
Mhm.
using that springboard before this situation is even closed.
Right.
And that's what is concerning. Like, do we see it happen all the time? Absolutely, we see it happen all the time. This is nothing new. You know, you ride the wave of success, you use it to your advantage, and then somebody else has to clean up the mess. You
Mhm.
know.
There we go.
You got it now.
Mhm. Yeah.
Okay. Gosh, seemed like a.
I had to download the PDF
Oh, okay.
because you couldn't open that article.
Yeah, I couldn't.
I wish I had enough like storage and organizational skills to be able to download every article that matters as a PDF. That way you never lose that stuff. Like if I could organize it all well enough, it'd probably be like a great source, you know, for cases so that you never forget anything.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm. But this gives some background on his career. Um, there's various things said in here that are like I don't know, it's a pretty good article, like going into exactly what's going on here.
Yeah.
I mean, you can make your own assumptions. Like I see Phil in the comments with a theory. I think that's a plausible theory. Um, you know, him stacking pensions or something. I just there's even something mentioned in here that definitely makes me think it has something to do with this Idaho 4 case.
What do you mean? What is it?
There's something mentioned in here.
Okay, so the man who guided the Moscow Police Department through the University of Idaho killings. Yeah, so definitely using that as a springboard. And the national spotlight that accompanied them is retiring this spring to run for Latah County Sheriff. Police Chief James Fry, 54, will retire May 1st after 3 decades with the department, including the last 8 years as chief, to focus on his bid for sheriff. The primary election is in May and the general election is in November. Fry said he still wants to be involved in law enforcement, still has energy, and wants a new challenge. Although it's similar, it's still new and I think it will be a good challenge, Fry said. And if I don't get elected for some reason, then I will go look for something else. Sheriff Richie Skiles said he
Mhm.
learned Wednesday of Fry's intention to run against him. Skiles will seek a third term in November. He said Fry did a good job as police chief and wish him the best in his retirement. Fry started as a reserve officer in 1993 and was hired as a patrol officer in 1995. He rose through the ranks before becoming the chief in 2016. Fry graduated from the University of Idaho with bachelor's and master's degrees in criminal justice. According to a City of Moscow news release, he graduated in 2019 from a 10-week training course at the FBI National Academy in Quantico, Virginia. Fry told the Moscow Pullman Daily News at the time, the opportunity is presented to 1% of law enforcement personnel in the U.S. In November 2022, Fry was thrust into the national limelight after 4 UI students Madison Mogan, Kaylee Gonzalez, Xana Kernodle, and Ethan Chapin were stabbed to death at a rental home just off the university campus. Fry provided updates on the case at news conferences packed with national and local media and was watched across the country. He and his department, which has over 30 officers, faced criticism by some who said Fry did not provide enough information and that his department was not equipped to handle a quadruple homicide investigation. 7 weeks after the killings, police arrested Washington State University graduate student Brian Kohberger in Pennsylvania. Fry said the stress that accompanied the Kohberger case played somewhat of a role in his decision to retire. We moved through that whole process, even though it was stressful. We got the job done and we did it right. Fry said of the homicide investigation, so no matter how people think of me, the ultimate thing is we held the integrity of the case at the highest level, just like we still are today until it's completed. Moscow Mayor Art, I don't know how to say his last name, Betke, said the harsh criticism Fry and his department received nationally weighed on Fry. The chief had to take a lot of that stress on himself because he had to keep the rest of the force focused and working on the case and solving the case. He said the narrative changed drastically when Kohberger was arrested, he said. Suddenly, Moscow police and Chief Fry are looking like geniuses. He said that had to be gratifying, but the stress leading up to it had to be blood pressure raising and just horrific to endure. How long is this? Okay. He said Fry handled the chaos as professionally as anyone could have. I would say he handled that very professional in the face of very negative headwinds that went on, and that's the acme of a professional, is your ability to do your job regardless of what's been thrown at you by outside entities and people who don't know the full story, he said. Described Fry as a nice, quiet leader. He preferred to be a little more on the quiet side and just led by example and make the hard decisions as necessary, but it wasn't about him, he said of Fry's tenure as chief. Fry lives in Troy, Idaho with his wife of 32 years, Julie. They have 4 grown children. Julie Fry was elected as the Latah County clerk in 2022. Fry and however you pronounce his last name said they're proud of the community policing philosophy Fry has helped maintain, where protecting and serving residents trumps enforcement. We really do work hard with the community and try to build relationships with the community, and I think that has been fostered over the years, Fry said. He said community policing was an ideal to which the chief held himself to a high standard, and that percolated through the department and has left us with a police department that the citizens of Moscow respect and appreciate that what they do. Fry said law enforcement changed in several ways in his 30 years. Moscow police has seen changes of its own during Fry's tenure as chief. The department got a new police station, brought in its first drug dog, and implemented body cameras on officers in the last few years. The city will start the process for the selection and appointment of the next police chief over the next few weeks, the city said. He said the goal is to hire a new chief by the time Fry retires. Fry said he expects he'll be involved in the hiring process. Fry said he wants to be remembered as a chief who did his job to the best of his ability, worked hard to build relationships in the community, and made the city safer and better for everyone. It's been a great honor to actually be able to serve this community and work with the officers that we have, Fry said. We have a phenomenal group of men and women who do a great job, and I'm very proud of the fact that I got to be a part of it. Whew, okay. Gosh, I'm never reading another article you suggest. I feel like I didn't learn anything.
That was an incredible article.
What?
Yes, it is the most comprehensive of any article on this topic.
That's assuming that everything's being said in here is true. He's now becoming a politician.
We're always going to analyze what this means. Okay, we're always going to try to read between the lines. We're always going to look to see what's behind the curtain, because yes, that is the vibe I get from this immediately. He's now running for office, you guys, meaning This has to be a puff piece.
Yeah, duh.
But he said that it also the murders played a role in his decision to retire.
Yeah, but you got to remember, everything that's being said in here is probably being said with whoever he's using to help him run for sheriff.
Yeah.
So, the whole time I'm reading this, I'm thinking of all the possibilities that could have supported this decision, right? Because immediately, the one thing that I think about is, okay, so we wondered how Green had an in this entire time. Did Green offer something?
Green
to
knew
Fry?
more than the mayor. Green literally knew more than the mayor.
Yeah,
guys.
but
the mayor was coming out saying it was a passion, a crime of passion.
I mean, it was a crime of passion. The mayor is literally the only correct one. But so is this how Fry had an into the case?
Wait, what?
Politics is what you can offer. That's not fake. That's really how it is.
What do you mean he had an end to the case?
Politicians and people in authority are going to work with people that can offer them something, okay?
Yeah.
Green somehow was able to be part of a war room every single morning when that's literally unheard of. In any other case, there is absolutely no reason that a president of a university should be involved in our policing and or policing standards and or direction the investigation is going.
Right.
Why is that?
I don't know.
Is it because he's being offered this job? Like, make sure you work with me, Fry, because look, I have a lot of pull with the politicians in this state. Clearly, I've lived here almost my whole life. I have all these people. We can get you in for sheriff. How does that sound?
Like, yeah, maybe. I mean, is being the sheriff better off than being the police chief?
I mean, one's an elected official that slingshots you into politics. There's a lot of different directions you can go once you're sheriff. So yeah, I mean, being sheriff is pretty dang big deal. There is only one sheriff for that area that manages all the deputies in that area. You're talking any of the jailhouse,
Latah County, and yeah, controls the jail, which is connected to the court.
Yeah.
The court.
Yeah. It's a big deal. It's a big deal.
I'm just curious, what is like the big gain in being a sheriff?
I think it's a politician. It's an elected position.
Yeah.
You know, what's interesting is you don't have to have law enforcement background to be the sheriff. That's what's interesting. I've heard situations where people have been elected the sheriff and they didn't have any background in law enforcement whatsoever. But anyways, the sheriff is
seriously?
Yeah. Yeah.
I never heard of that. That's insane.
Yeah, it is scary that he would run the jail where Brian Koberger is, and that's kind of interesting way of looking at it.
Yeah, you know, that is weird. Who even is the sheriff of Latah County?
It said it in here.
Yeah, but how come we've never seen him before?
Because the sheriff isn't necessarily important unless it's a sheriff's investigation. The sheriffs are called in when something is wrong normally. They're the ones who come in and investigate other law enforcement. They have a power of authority that's over local PD.
Yeah.
So
isn't it weird in a triple homicide in their county they didn't seem too involved?
Not necessarily. I think
or quadruple. I said triple.
Sheriffs are like the in between. I mean, you can pull up the definition of a sheriff, but a sheriff is political and law enforcement.
Yeah, the role of being the sheriff.
No. Sheriffs in general, sheriff's deputies, meaning they're because how can you have the sheriff but not sheriff's deputies have the same goals?
Sheriff deputies are just like cops and their whole jurisdiction is the county.
No. Sheriff's deputies are ran by the sheriff.
I get that.
So the sheriff's points of focus are the deputies.
Yeah, why are you just telling me the obvious like that's supposed to make it make sense?
Because you're doubting it. You're sitting here doubting it, but then you're saying, "Oh yeah, I understand that a sheriff's role is that." You can't say I understand the sheriff's role is this, but not the deputies. It's the same. They are the same. The deputies do what the sheriff wants in a political fashion.
Yeah, that might be the case, but they're still officers of the law. Like,
sure.
Yeah, they're not all politicians, is all I'm saying. Like, there are politics in all law enforcement, period.
Yeah, but sheriffs is a little bit different. Sheriffs are a little bit different, though.
I'm just curious why, because I know from my experience in small towns and counties that, in small counties, like where there's not a ton of people living there, the sheriff's department was involved in a lot of different things, like a lot. Now I know, like, when you don't live in town and you're like outside of city limits, usually when you call 911, you get the sheriff's department. That's who responds to your call. And when there were like major
sure
drug
like
busts, the sheriffs were pretty much running the show with that.
Yeah. Whoa, really?
Yeah, in the counties that I lived in that were small. Yeah.
So the sheriffs manage the law enforcement normally, depending on what state you're in. So, like, yes, when you call 911, normally it's going to a sheriff's routing office, and then that gets routed out to the correct local law enforcement in that area. When it comes to transferring people in the jail, that's all the sheriff. When it comes to managing jails, that's all the sheriff. When it comes to investigating law enforcement, that is the sheriff.
Yeah, but like if you don't live in a town that has a police department, or you're outside of those city limits, the sheriff is who you deal with. The city police do not come out and respond to 911 calls outside of city limits.
Yeah.
And there are some towns that don't have police departments, like really, really tiny towns that they don't even have a post office sometimes. So like you're dealing with sheriffs.
Yeah, that's interesting.
But I'm just curious because it seems odd to me that we never heard anything about the sheriff in this situation.
Yeah, I don't think it's odd, but
I absolutely think it's a little bit odd.
I don't. They have local law enforcement, and then they had forces that were, better at investigating than a sheriff's department would be. So
I don't know. I think that your experience isn't in small towns like that. So I don't think you're familiar with it.
That experience wouldn't even matter in what I'm talking about. So they had the FBI, okay? You're not gonna be like, oh, you know what? I choose the sheriff's investigation over the FBI. So I'm just trying to understand why you think you would hear of the sheriff in this whole situation. I'm trying to understand, like, connect the dots. Why do you think the sheriff should be talking about?
Because they run like the courthouse and the jail, and they also are a major part of law enforcement in the area normally. They usually are.
Only when there's a problem.
No.
Yeah. When there's a law enforcement, there's local law enforcement.
I obviously can't argue to this with you unless I have like things I've looked up and shown you. So
yeah,
there's no point in getting stuck on it. I personally think it's odd that we never heard anything about the sheriff's office being involved whatsoever. I understand higher jurisdictions like ISP and the FBI were involved.
Well, I mean, the sheriff's over ISP. Normally, the sheriff's office locally is over the state police.
What?
Yes. Yep. The sheriff's office has a ton of power. A ton of power. They are the law enforcement normally, except when it comes to feds. Yeah. Idaho State Police isn't necessarily like above sheriffs when it comes to ranking, because ISP has to follow the local laws of their jurisdiction that they're in, and that sheriff owns that. That is theirs. So like the sheriff doesn't roll up to ISP. That is like the sheriff's property is the best way I can explain it.
Okay.
Yeah. And ISP in this case we've seen is more of a support role. Their officers are sent out to all these other law enforcement offices to where you don't have like ISP offices. You have ISP officers that are working out of local law enforcement.
Yeah, they're supposed to
offices.
be a supportive role, but from the investigations we've seen, they weren't supportive. They were running the show.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, sheriff's jurisdictions are in the county. I think he was just saying that ISP, when they are working on an investigation within a county, they would have to answer to the sheriff's department. Like they're not above them.
Yeah. The sheriff is essentially for law enforcement locally is the last say. But so going back into Fry's, do you think this has to do with the case at all? Hey, Art of Deduction. And for anybody that's new on here, Art of Deduction is another one of our thought writers and content creators, and he makes awesome content. Check him out. But going back into this theory here, though, so what do you think the reasoning could be? This is obviously a puff piece, all right? So if we strip that away, is there any way we can find out there really was an interest in Sheriff? Because look, this puff piece is full of it, okay? It talks him up big time, and I'm sure he has a rep that is helping him with his election campaign. That is creating puff pieces like this. Clearly, he couldn't. I don't know what he's going to do when he has to talk in front of a crowd. He sucks at it, you know. And that's not me being a jerk or attacking him personally, but let's be real here. He sucks at it. He turns into like a tomato, super bright and missteps on what he's saying and everything else. When you know he's making statements to the general public that have no room for any mistakes. So I don't know like what was seen in him that.
I think it's really odd that he's running for sheriff. Chief Fry does not strike me as a politician whatsoever. He doesn't seem like he can fake it the way a politician can, and put on a show the way a politician can.
I mean, have you seen
he's
have
really
you seen the Chief Fry pictures?
Huh?
Somebody showed me these pictures. Oh wait, maybe it was me who came up with that. But Chief Fry took like these manly pictures in the police station. You haven't seen those?
No.
Oh man. Okay, I'm sorry. I cut you off.
You
Go
have
ahead.
to pull them up now. You can't.
I will.
You can't do that and not pull them up.
It just reminded me of who the leader of Russia when he took Putin took all these like really manly,
like riding a horse.
Riding a horse and fishing and like
doing all the manly things.
Yeah, and I think it was me who put him on a thumb together back to back.
Nuh-uh.
I think so.
Yes, I tried to kill him. That's what happened. It made me super angry.
Oh, I hope I can find them. I'm gonna have to go digging.
Just kidding. He has a fever rash and it looks yucky and he doesn't want anyone to see it.
I'm gonna have to find him. I can't find him right now. Just from basic Google searching. I'm telling you, it's on one of our thumbs though, and it's on the thumb with Putin. So I'll find it.
It's on one of our thumbnails?
It's gotta be.
How long ago?
I don't think I would let that slide, but maybe it's not worth going and digging right
How
now.
long ago?
I have no clue. But what were you saying though? You were making a good point. What were you saying?
I have no clue. You interrupted me by giggling about Chief Fry's manly pictures. I don't know now.
You know what those manly man pictures could be though? That could be evidence that he was interested in Sheriff.
Yeah.
It could be real evidence because that was a while ago.
Maybe. Yeah. Are you sure it wasn't when they got their new police station, though? Like, they took pictures?
No, I don't know that, but he's not wearing his badge. He's in normal clothing. Or I'm sorry, maybe he is wearing his badge on his hip. I don't remember right now. I need to look it up. So
is this a part of it?
No, but I did use that picture once just to joke with Chief Fry. Look, I don't think there's anything bad against Chief Fry, but if I'm being honest, just based off of the things that I've seen from him, this is a college police station, okay? Like, I would assume that if I'm a cop, I look for a position like this to have a laid back job, you know?
Yeah.
It's not worth it.
He seems like a sweet man.
He does. He seems like a really nice guy. Like, I have nothing against him. But the thing is, in a lot of these positions, a really nice guy isn't going to cut it. You know, so there are times, you guys, where you need a jerk. You need somebody that is not afraid to hurt feelings to get a job done. Unfortunately.
Oh yeah.
There are times out there where,
sure,
you know, the goal, the mission is more important than feelings, you know?
Absolutely.
And there's a couple people in this that I have a hard time feeling like they're going to be able to do that. Chief Fry is one of them, and actually Judge is the other. I'm a little bit concerned about Judge being able to be a jerk.
Yeah, me too. But you know, one other interesting thing that I read in that article was that Chief Fry got a bachelor's and master's degree in criminal justice from the University of Idaho.
Well, of course, it's in his backyard. How would you not?
So is he in a fraternity?
I don't
like. How many of these people are in a fraternity?
I don't know.
They all went to U of I.
That out. Yeah, I wish I could find that out.
Didn't even the judge go to U of I? I'm pretty sure I read that somewhere, but don't quote me. I thought he did.
Oh, I appreciate that, Cynthia. I just think that I think what I meant is like in a situation, the sheriff has the last say.
Sheriff is county level, state police are state level. Yeah. They don't outrank each other. That makes sense to me. Yeah, I don't see any photo shoots.
Just to be clear, when it comes to Chief Fry, look, do I think there's some weird stuff going on in this case? Absolutely, right? I just have a hard time, throwing weird situations onto people without me knowing if they were involved in it. You know what I mean? And where I'm going with that is we've seen time and time again that it only takes one or two bad officers. It doesn't require the chief, okay? It takes one or two bad officers making bad decisions and doing bad things to make an entire situation look like a giant conspiracy.
Yeah, for sure.
And if you can, go ahead and hit that like button, you guys. If you're having a good time, we appreciate it. And whenever you get a chance, leave a comment under the video. I told you it's not worth it.
Yeah, I stopped looking. I gotta go to the bathroom. I stopped looking. I did now. Anyway. Yeah, that's what I thought. I thought Judge graduated from U of I. I can't find the pictures that Brendan was talking about, but I'll look after the stream so, you know, I can be engaged and everything. And I'll post them to Discord, maybe Twitter or something if you guys want to look after. If I can even find them. I don't know what he's talking about. I don't remember pictures like that, but it is interesting, the possibility of him having like a photo shoot or something that early on But it also said in there that he's been the chief of police for 8 years. Hold on, I need to mute my phone. 8 years, and has worked with the department for 30 years. It's just curious to me why he would run for sheriff now. I don't know. What is the normal age of a sheriff? Like, do they typically spend that long in law enforcement and then, like, retire and run for sheriff? I don't know. He just doesn't strike me as the type of guy that has his sights set high for like an elected position like that. He's 54. Yeah, I was kind of curious how old he was. It's a natural climb up the ladder. Yeah, that makes sense. It makes sense it would be a natural climb. I don't think, because originally when I heard he was retiring, I guess that feels more weird than him wanting to like climb the ladder. Are you coming? It sounds like the same sheriff that already was in office still wants to be in office and is running for another term. But you said you thought Chief Fry was like a new chief. I mean, he's worked for the police department for 30 years and has been the chief for 8. That doesn't seem very new to me.
I mean, I'm taking into consideration some of the chiefs that I knew around where I grew up, and they're usually lifers in this position. Sheriffs,
lifers.
Yeah, sheriffs like stay in the position. And sheriffs usually are politicians, but you got to remember, I came from Southern California with San Bernardino Sheriffs, which is, I think, the biggest sheriff's department there is nationally. So my perception of a sheriff's department might be a little bit different than the rest of the US. So like schools in California are supported by sheriffs. Each high school has a sheriff there.
Really?
Yep. At least where I'm from. Yep.
That's really interesting. Oh, thank you, Cynthia.
Yeah,
nice.
All right.
Hooked up 5 people with the Thought Right membership. That's awesome. Thank you so much, Cynthia.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. That is incredible. Always coming through, hooking up the Thought Rioters. That'll be good at the end of the stream here when we do the members only talk, where we really get to dig in with the chat with everyone. But yeah, I agree with you. That going back to what you were saying with the guy he's going to be running against, I think that was a little bit of a stab in there when he said, I think Chief Fry did a great job and he's going to enjoy his retirement. That was, he was making that comment with the assumption that he's not going to get sheriff, obviously.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I don't know how locals feel about this. I would be very curious to know how locals feel the job was done here.
I know, because that's what they said in that article too, is that the locals are like proud or like are satisfied with how they handled all this, and that they have a good community relationship, and they're more about protect and serving over whatever
If
they
that were the
said.
case, though, then we wouldn't have seen the drastic change in officer behavior post Idaho 4.
Agreed.
That there was a drastic change in the way that the officers are working with the college kids, at least in the body cam footage that we've seen, from what we've seen both pre-crime.
I actually heard today, and
the church.
Yeah.
What you covered. Like,
Yeah.
it doesn't sound
Sticker
like
gate.
everyone's so proud of this police
Sticker
department.
gate is a perfect example of like the authoritarian overexerting their power on the public type. I don't know, like that's just the way they ran things, is how it appears. Like the fact that they put stickers, which there's stickers everywhere already, that are criticizing the police department and get arrested for it. And they not only arrest the kids who were putting them up, but the dad who got them printed. Like, I don't know. That's something else. Like that is not good. Like that is not a good look. And then on top of it, the body cam footage of them like picking up that backpack and dumping out all those things, like the way they were cussing when they were outside of the door, at the kids, and the stuff they were saying when they were there, like outside the door for the noise complaint that one night. You know which body cam footage I'm talking about?
I know
it's
exactly
disgusting the way they were talking.
Yeah.
Which I understand, like, military culture, police culture, sometimes they have dirty mouths like that. Like I get it. It just was.
It's not even the dirty mouth that's disgusting, because I agree with you. What's disgusting is the fact that they're talking about stomping all over their civil liberties. They're talking about threatening kids. I don't care that they're cussing. I don't care that they're talking dirty. Like, I don't care about any of that. I care about the fact that they think that they can lie to kids to get them to hand over their civil liberties.
Yeah, the way they trespassed on 1122 King Road property, I 100% believe that was trespassing. The way they went to the back door and acted like nobody was answering when they like literally were just walking up. Like no one had sat there and knocked at the door and waited. Like that one initial body cam footage we saw with all of them out there and they had the ride along, they all sat out front and waited. And then when Rosie and that other officer went there during the day, they just went around to the back, like, and acted like nobody answered.
Mm-hmm.
So clearly that's not standard procedure. Like that's not what's normal at this home for officers to do because they know nobody uses the front door or something. I mean, that is not like the curtilage of the property. Like where you're allowed to walk up is to the front door. You are not allowed to just go around in somebody's backyard and start looking in their sliding glass window, whether you're a cop or not. That is not okay.
And I see a couple people saying that the kids were already out back, but that doesn't change anything.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter at all. So cops by law have to present themselves up front. Like a cop can't just walk in your backyard. That is your property.
No.
Obviously it's not their property, but I can almost guarantee they didn't call the owner and say, hey, can I have the approval to go inside here or whatever? But
you have a reasonable expectation of privacy in your own backyard.
Yeah, he walked past the front door and then lied and said that he went to the front door and no one was answering. That's the big deal there, is the fact that he said with his own words, oh yeah, we're just coming up to the back door because you didn't hear us at the front door knocking or whatever. However he said that, he clearly stated that he went to the front door, nobody was answering. That's why we're just walking up in your property.
Yeah,
that's a problem. That's a problem.
He also walked to the back after saying that and was like, oh, there's no stairs to that deck. Like what? If there were stairs, were you about to walk up them and start looking in windows more? Yeah, like what were you doing? Why are you worried about if there's stairs or not? Like, yeah. I don't know. It just felt really icky. And the way he handled that situation compared to like the frat house boys just felt really icky. It felt like over authoritative and It just felt like an overexertion of power.
Why it's a big deal, you guys, is this is what I suggest you guys look at. I'm not going to pull it up because I don't want to take anybody's content, but I advocate all the time that when a police officer is at your door, you do not open that door. Never, never, ever, ever, ever. That is for the officer's safety. That is for your safety. That is for everyone's safety. You can communicate with them through the door without opening that door. And where I'm going with this is go on YouTube after this video and look up videos where cops stuck their foot in the door. They are so terrifying, so scary, and so many of them that like there's thousands of these where somebody is communicating with a cop even though they aren't a person of interest in a crime, and that person says, you know, wants to close their door, makes it obvious they want to close their door, and a cop doesn't let them. A cop sticks their foot in the door, does not let them close it, and if they try and close it, they book them for assault on an officer because they hit their foot with the door. Like, there are a ton of videos out there. That's a problem. So in these situations where a cop lies to go to the backyard, that's a problem. All right. The cop is a civil servant, right? They are there to serve the civil liberties of the people that they're supposed to be protecting.
Yeah, he had absolutely no right to go to the backyard.
None. Zero.
Like, so yeah, I absolutely see a problem with that. If a cop just walked around to my backyard and was looking through my back door, I would have a major problem with that. I would not open the door. I would feel threatened immediately. I would feel threatened immediately, and I would be calling the police station and reporting that officer because it's not okay.
Yeah.
You have a reasonable expectation of privacy in your own backyard. Period.
Yeah. And not only that, though, but if a cop comes to your front door, like, just communicate through the front door, you guys, because here's the thing. People have literally died by opening up the door and the cop had the wrong house. Okay. So every situation should be managed with your personal interest at heart there, right? So if a cop comes to the door, and listen, I'm pro police, you guys. 100% pro police. I back police. I believe we need police. I gladly support and pay my taxes towards police officers, and I appreciate them. And I appreciate the good ones, but I absolutely condemn the bad ones. So if any officer comes to my door, you can communicate through the door. You can also give your phone number and have them call you. Every cop has a phone, okay? But when people have opened those doors, cops have been at the wrong house. People have been shot before. People have had officers get forced into their house to forcibly search it because a police officer thinks he saw something. And I'm not saying they're lying all these times, but it protects everybody, right? And the decision to not open the door could literally save that cop's job. Who knows what the ego is going to do in a heated situation?
Yeah, it doesn't matter if they're in their own backyard. They're not allowed to come back there. I was
just talking about that. Exactly. They have that trick where they stick their foot in the door, and if you try and close it, they get you for assault on a peace officer. I know it. It's wild. I was suggesting to everyone after this stream, look those videos up. There are a scary amount of them, you guys. A very scary amount of them.
Yeah, again, even if the back door is technically considered a front door, I still don't think that matters because that's not what any reasonable person would assume when walking up to that house, is that the sliding glass door around the back is the front door. Like, nobody's going to assume that. Yeah. And also, nobody has a sliding glass door like that as a front door unless you live like in one of those tiny houses or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it's when you're walking up to that house, the door that's in the front is the front door.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's pretty obvious because that's where the cars are parked closest to. However, maybe some of those cops have been there, like, giving them the benefit of the doubt. Maybe
but all those cops that were there in the other body cam footage sat out front.
Yeah, I got you.
And they really couldn't get a hold of anybody.
Yeah. Yeah.
And there was a party raging.
But where I was going with that is I don't remember how that house layout was before the remodel. So maybe at one time the front door was up there. I don't know. I'm just trying to play devil's advocate, contrarian to the situation. But I'm going to be very curious to pay attention to this Chief Fry situation. Very curious.
I'm just curious how he's going to run his campaign. I'm really super curious if like the Idaho 4 is going to be what he's promoting himself with.
Absolutely. Of course he is. That's fresh in people's minds.
But like there's so many questions around that investigation.
Yes. But locally is there. We don't know like how bad local news is there, right? Because we aren't from that area. We live in the Chicago land area. So we don't know what it's like there. None whatsoever. If I'm looking to gain a political position, I'm going to use the situation that packs the most bang for its buck, right? And I think in this situation, it is absolutely the Idaho 4 arrest. But if we want to go really tin hat here, right? Because I'm sure some of our viewers are thinking this. Could it be that they know there's mistakes in this investigation, and the only way to get an eye into the situation is for somebody to be a part of the sheriff's office?
What
do you mean? I said I'm intentionally going tin hat.
That's super tin hat. But you know another tin hat thing I was thinking about earlier? So, you know, after the whole Stickergate situation, right?
Yeah.
That was COVID times. That's when the mask mandates came down. That's what started it, is they had the mask mandates 6 feet apart. That church in Moscow, Idaho wanted to have a sing song or whatever, a psalm sing, whatever it's called. I don't know. And they had to all stand 6 feet apart in that parking lot. And then several of them got arrested.
Yep.
And then the whole situation, like, you know, they got mad about it. They started lawsuits against the police department and they put up the stickers.
Yeah.
And then the boys got arrested. And then that started litigation that has literally lasted until this day, you guys. It is still being litigated and has been taken higher and higher up in the court system. You know, the pastor Doug Wilson's come out and said it's a false prosecution. Well, what I find interesting is literally the year of this crime, 2022, is when Nathaniel Rosendahl, who literally grew up in that church, he has a father who's like something important in the church, apparently.
Okay.
And he moved there and joined the police department that year, 2022. Coming like still while Stickergate is pretty fresh. It's only like a year into it.
Yeah. So you mean like drumming up intentional drama, maybe?
No, I mean, did they ask him to come be in law enforcement? So they had somebody in law enforcement. The church.
Got it.
Like, oh yeah, your son is a police officer, right? Or he's ex-military even. I can't remember. He had some job. I think he was in law enforcement, like military, then law enforcement, and then Moscow PD. I just can't remember what it was before Moscow. It was somewhere in Washington. But did they ask him like, oh yeah, your son's in law enforcement, like you should have him come join the police department so that we have like, you know, influence?
Yeah, I think that's just as tin hat is what I was saying. Just
is it though?
Yeah.
With who Doug Wilson is?
It is, because that's a giant ask. That's as big of an ask as like somebody changing their position to find out what's being talked about by the defense team. I think it's just as far out. Could I see each of those things happening? Maybe. And the reason why I think that either of them is likely possible is because of the at risk involved in both situations. So when you're talking about my tin hat situation of needing to get somebody from MPD potentially into the sheriff's office to potentially hear what is being talked about by the defense, could mean somebody's job and freedom on the line, right? What if mistakes were made? What if things were done to close this deal and are super illegal, and it could be an officer, you know, catching time or being charged or something like that. Anytime you're at risk is losing your freedom, I think anything's possible. Now you have your situation too, where you're talking about a church. I can't even explain how many wild things have been done in the name of religion. So maybe
with
I
the
know
type
we'll
of
never get evidence of
with
that,
the
but
type
who
of
knows?
with the type of person Doug Wilson is, I really think it's a possibility. I think it is a little tin hat, but I don't think it's very tin hat. I think it is a major possibility he
That's
could
such a
ask
big
around.
ask.
Yeah, but maybe he wanted to move back anyway. You know what I mean? Like, who knows? Like, what
Yeah.
was going on in his life? Maybe it lined up perfectly. Sometimes life works out that way, where things line up the way they're meant to.
So, okay, that's a very different situation between somebody that was in the church that happened to want to come back and was in MPD, and they were asking him for some insider information. That's much more likely than somebody from the church going to one of their churchgoers and saying, "Hey, your son's a police officer. Do you think we can get him to move back here, get into Moscow PD to feed us information?" Like those two things are very different.
Yeah, but what if they agreed to help him out financially if he agreed to come back?
That's a massive ask.
Because you
Like,
know he also
massive.
he also opened a tattoo shop when he moved back.
I'm just all I can do is imagine somebody asking me that, and I would laugh.
Yeah, but he grew up in this church.
I get it. I get it. I just don't see that being likely.
His dad's some kind of official in the church. I don't know. I mean, at the same time, I see evidence that Rosadog at the same time could not be involved in the church anymore or agree with that type of, life. But at the same time, he moved back to his hometown. So, like, maybe not.
Maybe he moved back to take down the church.
Right.
I mean, maybe.
I highly doubt that.
You know how common it is for people to like change their beliefs? Very common. When you're in an oppressive type religion situation, and then you get freedom to experience things that have been previously hid from you, and not learned by experience, but learned by secretism, keeping these things from you. And then all of a sudden, a lot of people turn. That's why they give the Amish, what's that period of time where they're allowed to go out and experience the world?
I can't remember what it's called.
Which is kind of strange because a large percentage of them go back.
Yeah.
To the Amish, like a really large percentage.
Yeah,
of
you're
them.
right. They do.
Really large percentage.
I'm getting the police confused with the CIA, right? Well, like, maybe that's funny.
Okay, so let's talk on what we were talking about last night. I saved some images and questions in regards to the Idaho 4 stuff. So someone just asked us, well, I'll save that. I won't share that one because I'll wait till we cover that story. Right.
I never changed my beliefs either.
Oh, I do. I change my beliefs every day.
I'm a believer.
I change my beliefs every day.
Sounded so nerdy.
I change my beliefs every time I'm wrong, okay? That way I'm never wrong because I'm always just changing what I believe.
Yeah, true. It's a whole new level of, Rumspringa or whatever.
What?
It's not Rumspringa. It's a Rumspringa.
What?
That's when the Amish like go party or whatever.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not even sure if I have a fever anymore, to be honest. I don't feel good, but
so many people wanted us
checked.
So many people wanted us to re-highlight the
what?
Hang on.
Well, one thing I wanted you to pull up was I want you to look at it and tell me if you want to pull it up or if it's for another time, but it's not reading at all.
Oh, so a lot of people wanted us to highlight and bring up again and really land the point on the fraternities, okay? So
okay.
A lot of people reached out to us. We had Masons reach out to us. We had people that were in fraternities reach out to us. And they got the idea last night that we were saying fraternities do not call cops. That is not what I said. Fraternities have to call their fraternity leader contact first. But yes, they call the police. But they don't get to make that decision without reaching out to their fraternity first.
So did any fraternity or Masons confirm that? And say, yeah,
I'm not guessing with that. That's a 100%.
Yeah, I know, but like
fact.
Is it enforced?
Oh, I don't know if it's enforced. I mean, you're asking me to check with hundreds of fraternal orders.
I'm just curious if anybody that reached out said, yeah, that's how it works. We contact this person first and then call police.
Not from what I've seen. From what I've seen, the argument was just that we absolutely do call police. So, but like why I'm bringing that up, you guys, is because the 8-hour gap can be explained by that. We have 2 girls that were in that house that didn't call police for 8 hours, right? So our idea was that maybe they knew what was going on. For whatever reason, they maybe there was some struggle or issue or something going on with their sorority, but they reached out to their sorority and or fraternity contact and let them know what's going on. And they were waiting on a call back to find out what they had to do. And fell asleep during that time or something. I don't know. But a lot of people are like, oh my gosh, we haven't heard that before. So I just wanted to make sure that we really emphasize that point, that one, we don't believe they don't call police, but they absolutely check in with their leaders first. And that is a rule. And 2, I think it's very possible. I really do.
I don't know.
It sounds so wrong, but I think it's very possible. What do you mean you don't know? Are you just doubting that's how it is? Even last night you were like doubting that. It's not a maybe. That's 100% fact.
I just don't have any like hard evidence to show that's what happens.
Yeah, but why are you personally have such a hard time believing that's how fraternities run?
Because I think people wouldn't follow that. Like if my life was being threatened, I would totally not follow that.
I hear you.
If I thought my friends were getting murdered, I would not follow that.
I get it, but have you ever looked into like what it's like to rush? Like, do you understand the length that they go?
No.
Oh God.
I have had no interest of ever joining a fraternity or sorority ever.
I'm gonna have to find some videos of what it's like to join a fraternity. So it's so serious, and that I think it's burned into their being. I really do. It's not like, hey, you want to join a fraternity? Cool, sign on this dotted line and we're good to go. That's not how it is. That is not how it is.
Yeah, but I thought like hazing was like illegal and stuff.
Yeah, hazing is illegal.
So they still haze sometimes, clearly, but like when you rush, like what actually happens? And if they're not hazing you?
I mean, I think the goal behind it is the fact that you're building a brotherhood or sisterhood through like trauma bonding. You're trauma bonding in the same way that when we were doing all the research into the Masons and the Masonic order of the early 1900s, when they started adopting all the cult-like images because they were like, ooh, they were doing routines that forced trauma bonding, where like they would put the initiate in a room naked with like you know, something wrapped around his eyes or whatever, and that person would have to depend on the brothers to guide them through this, you know, path, like this path with candles around it or something. I don't know. I'm trying to remember what some of the trauma bonding experiences were, but this is absolutely what they do. I'm gonna have to show you.
Okay. Yeah, for sure.
And we're talking months. You realize it's months of this.
It's months?
It's months of trauma bonding. Absolutely. Yep. Yep.
So wait,
it reminds me of outlaw biker gangs. So for those of you that are new here, when I was younger, I was a troublemaker, right? And some of the troublemakers I hung out with were biker gangs. And biker gangs have a rule where like you're a hang around for at least a year. And then it's a whole nother year when you're an initiate before you can even be considered to be a patched member. So you're already like committed to 2 years before you can even be a member. So that has made it so hard for undercover law enforcement to infiltrate a lot of these outlaw biker gangs. So when we're looking at like fraternities, no, it doesn't take a year to be joined, but they are absolutely rushing for months and months and months, and not everyone gets in.
Interesting.
It's not a guaranteed in.
People are just sharing stories in the chat too, about stories about people rushing, which is interesting. Yeah, I need to look into more stories about that and watch some videos on it, because I've seen hazing. We've all seen hazing, like in the news, you know, the deaths and horrible things.
I don't think you necessarily have to go there to create a trauma bond situation, though.
Yeah, I agree, but that's the extent I know.
Okay.
Is like, you know, they make you drink beer until you're super sick and some kids die. You know, they do things like blindfold you and kidnap you and make you do like really gross stuff. Like that's pretty much it, but I had no idea it happened for months.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, geez, man.
Like, so it used to be way worse before hazing really was brought to light, and like people were dying and people were aware of it.
I mean, you got to remember though that even in those times when hazing was allowed, and I still think they do hazing rituals now, but even when hazing was allowed, like these were potential brothers, and it is a brotherhood, absolutely, and it's such a tight bonded brotherhood that it's dangerous. Like that's what it is. So I don't think that it was ever done with the intention of literally killing these guys, but because, you know, some of them might have been joining a fraternity and they weren't hardcore drinkers in high school. One person, or, you know, most of the frat can drink this amount of alcohol, when you have somebody that doesn't have a lot of experience drinking can only drink this much alcohol. So, you know, deaths left and right. But yeah,
it's kind of scary putting, you know, your life in the hands of a bunch of like frat guys.
I'm just shocked that you have such a hard time believing that they're not allowed to call police with the amount of research that we've done on this. Like, I don't understand why that's shocking to you.
It's hard for me to understand and grasp. It is very hard.
We've talked about gangs. If you're a gang member, you're not allowed to call police.
Yeah, gang makes more sense because your purpose is to commit criminal.
The same.
No, it is your intent behind a gang is to commit like crimes.
No,
that is not the intent behind a fraternity. Is to commit crimes.
Gang.
Yes, it is. It's protection. It's trafficking drugs. It's many things.
Yeah, I mean,
but usually it
depends on where you're at. But it's for safety.
Okay, yes, but a gang does criminal activity. Period. And they want money.
A fraternity does criminal.
It's about money and safety. Money through the means of criminal acts.
Not always, though. And that's why there's that correlation between fraternities and gangs. I don't see a difference myself. They're exactly the same thing. You're looking for brotherhood, protection, and money. What's the goals of a fraternity? brotherhood, protection, and money.
Yeah, but the goal is like not to commit crimes to get that money. The goal is like going to school, making connections, networking, building a career.
Gosh, I wish you had like more experience in the Greek life. That is not true. Their goal is absolutely.
I understand there's situations where it goes bad,
situations,
and they have been involved in criminal activity and drug trafficking and things like that.
Yeah.
And I understand there's a lot of people in them that do bad things.
I think you're being fooled by the expensive suits they wear.
No.
I literally, I'm not even exaggerating. I think
gangs are not a thing at universities.
Yeah, and that's not what I'm suggesting.
It's not like let's go to university and join a gang.
I mean, dude, they have the same goals.
I understand that, but the idea behind them is different.
I don't think so. I don't think so. I really don't. I understand that sounds wild. I understand that sounds absurd, but they have the same goals. It really is the same. One of them is just inherently white and the other one is not.
Yeah, I get that.
But
that's, I mean,
all secret societies have been involved in criminal acts. We looked at how the Masons were created and how they literally abducted a man and threw him overboard into the ocean. And you think that fraternities, at the risk of losing their organization, wouldn't do the same? You're telling me that?
No, I didn't say that.
Okay, I'm asking you.
I think there's an issue with fraternities, and I absolutely
think that they would do that.
Well, I don't want to put all of them in a box. Like, I don't know every fraternity.
Okay, yeah, I understand that. We aren't talking about literally every fraternity. The majority
would murder someone for their fraternity to keep going,
to not go under. Yeah.
I think there would be people within it that would do that. Yeah.
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 Yeah. I understand that what I'm saying is a little bit extreme here, but you guys, I firmly believe that this, like, police officers and this code of silence is wrong. It's problematic. It has caused issues in our society. It has created problems that is so deeply wound corruption that we're having a hard time pulling that out of our society. And that's what I think we find in fraternities, where not everybody in a fraternity is a sociopath, right? But everybody in a fraternity will keep their mouth shut. So is one really worse than the other? Is the sociopath worse than the other people that aren't willing to speak up? I don't know. I don't know. It's the same outcome. They're doing the same exact thing to our society. Just because one person can pull a trigger and the other person can't, but can keep a secret, like, is one really worse than the other? I don't know. I don't know. I try and look at every situation as like the implications it can have in our overall society and like the direction it's going. And I think that both of those are equally as detrimental to our, social goals. Really, I think the person that stays quiet is just as guilty as the person who can pull the trigger.
I think, unfortunately, there's still a lot of sexism within fraternities and sororities too, because when we looked into fraternities, we realized that sororities pretty much all existed as subchapters of fraternities, and they exist for the fraternities.
So I should have known. Somebody mentioned JFK.
Made me curious, like, do sororities, are they as involved and even like beneficial? Like, do they go as deep as fraternities?
Wait, does what go as deep as
sororities?
Oh yeah, 100%.
Because they exist
all sororities are
for fraternities. Like, are they as involved?
Anymore, not anymore, but most of them are part of fraternal orders. Like, So I can't believe I didn't
What do you
share
mean
this
not
yet.
anymore? That's literally the basis of a sorority. That's why they were created.
Yeah, but they've changed that since, like, the sorority sisters are not expected to bow at the knee of fraternities like they did in the 50s, 40s, 30s, and on. They have changed. They have tried to evolve into allowing women freedom, you know, and to benefit in the same way that fraternities benefit, but through sisterhood. I do think that they've worked hard to try and change that. Now, is it 100% the same? Obviously not. And this is why I can't believe I forgot to say this. So I don't know why I've never looked into this, but I started looking today with Heather. We were briefly talking on Discord. And for those of you that aren't on our Discord, if you enjoy the chat or you enjoy researching into cases and crimes, Discord is where it's at. It's 100% completely free, you guys, and it will never cost anything. But you have to have an invite link to join. And it is private. That it is our Thought Riot podcast private chat. And you have to have that Discord link to join. But anyways, we were talking. You know what the #1 fraternity is? Sigma Chi.
What?
Sigma Chi is the #1 fraternity nationally based on the overall income gained from annual fraternal orders and the amount of students enrolled in college.
So they make the most money and have the most students.
Correct. Size and money. Yep. I don't know why I never looked into that. Like, what are the most powerful fraternities? So, like, as we're talking about this, if you're at the top, if you're the top dog, and you're at risk of losing your entire national chapter, like Sigma Chi was at risk of losing over and over and over and over and over again, to where they're being told that one more incident and you have to close all your doors. What, you really don't think what kind of capabilities an organization like that could have? I go back to saying that, dude, fraternities and gangs.
That's what makes me question the Hudson Lindau stuff even more, to be honest.
Mikey.
Is like, what if Hudson was some kind of killing too?
I agree with you. Or they couldn't have it land on Sigma Chi.
Ethan knew, people at the house knew, and that was part of the tensions between the people at 1122 and Sigma Chi.
Yeah, no, great question. Great question.
The fact that they said there was no foul play within, like, what, an hour?
So we never talked
absurd.
about this because I was sick, because of my field work, whatever. But yes, Hudson Lindau, that statement, that e-statement that they put out saying that there was no foul play was just under 3 hours after finding the body, meaning they had to find the body, call the coroner, determine cause of death, send for somebody to go write this statement, and then post it, all in that 3-hour time. So I think that was decided within the hour. You can't determine cause of death in an hour. Impossible.
It was.
And he's found by water, you guys, okay? He was found by water. So they didn't have the ability to analyze inside his lungs, inside his throat, inside whatever they need to look at, shave his head to see if there's any markings in the back of his hair for somebody holding his head under or in the water. Like, it's literally impossible. Mathematically impossible with the time that they had at hand.
Yeah, they just said an accidental drowning without an autopsy, without a toxicology report, without anything. And the fact that the public still cannot get any of those results, any police reports pertaining to that case, that is so scary. That's
I'm sorry,
super
Mikey.
scary.
I got sidetracked, but huge shout out to Mikey, always coming through with the gifted Thought Riot podcast membership. We appreciate you big time.
That creek I heard was only about 2 inches deep. Like an inch to 2 inches deep at the time of his drowning is what I heard.
We have a new member, Jill. Welcome, welcome. We are super stoked to have you here. And that's incredible. You'll be able to join in the fun for the members only portion that comes at the end of the stream. But yeah, no, I agree with you.
Yes, welcome, Jill. And thank you again, Mikey. You're the best.
It is insane. It doesn't feel right. It doesn't feel thorough. It doesn't feel like they could have done a qualified job in that amount of time. Did they have time to even move his body to an examining table? Like,
right.
No,
because you shouldn't move the body that fast. It should be there. You should be like if he's fully gone, there needs to be pictures of everything. Like it just seems way too fast. Like way too fast.
Yeah, and Jill coming through and gifting 5 Thought Riot podcast memberships. That is incredible, and we appreciate that. And I'm sure the 5 members that got him appreciate that too. That is super awesome, and thank you very much.
Oh, okay.
And it should be a good time on the members, but yeah, it's not possible. It's not possible. And for anybody watching, make sure you hit that like button, and when you get a chance, leave a comment under the videos, not in the chat, but under the video. I don't think you can do it while we're live, but as soon as we're not, you can on here. Or our most recent 4chan frat boy video. Just leaving a comment does so much, you guys. I can't even explain how much just leaving a comment and hitting that like button does. It's something free you could do that helps us out more than you know. So
it does.
But all these deaths feel oddly similar. I saw somebody say it. I think it might have been plumbing. Because we covered, I'm horrible with names. What's the other guy's name?
Joseph Y. Derrick.
Yes. Is it? Yes. Joseph Y. Derrick found under a bridge with an injury to the back of the head.
Same creek. Just further down.
And was quickly ruled an accident. Okay. Then you have this kid in a different season found under the bridge in a creek and drowned. And no documents are allowed out. When if you guys couldn't see on the picture that I submitted for the video around Hudson, there's a screen on there that we have that has like 20 requests, okay, for FOIA requests for the file for Hudson. And they are all ignored except for one that says, hey, just want to let you know that we submitted your request to legal and they should be reaching out to you. They shut it all down. I don't even understand how that's legal. Like, I don't get it.
You know what's interesting for me is that, we're talking about the police here and what the police has been since Chief Fry has been the chief of police. I don't think I've seen a single case other than that one guy who attacked his family that was actually handled in a way where it felt like case closed. They did a good job.
Wait, the one with the family. What are you talking about?
Yeah, the guy that's down the street from 1122 King Road that attacked his family and murdered somebody in the past.
You're talking about the guy that stabbed his friend or whatever, and there was a gun involved.
Rosendahl was like I think he was the arresting officer for when he attacked his family.
That whole family is shady. You know that
whole family is super shady.
That whole family has a theory within the Idaho 4 crime in itself.
Yeah.
And we've never talked about that. And I hear very few people talk about this family. And they had all the makings. They had the white Hyundai Elantra. They had a propensity for aggression and violence. They have a boyfriend that got let out in the last 5 years for murder. They had it. They have it all.
I know.
Everything that would not surprise you to see for somebody that would commit a crime like this. Like, everything fits.
Well, it makes you wonder, were drugs being sold out of that house? Is that where the the weirdness is coming from with the drugs?
Enon. I think Enon is a. We're gonna have to talk about Enon Harsh, and for a long time, and yeah. So this we'll talk about this family too. I'll make it a priority to bring it up. I've been saying that for weeks and weeks that I'm gonna bring up this family that I have this information from. But for those of you that don't know, so Enon Harsh, right? For a long time, I just thought he was weird. I thought he was a creeper. Like, who the heck puts out an ad like looking for a girl to move in for free, looking for conversation, whatever weird thing he said. Like, any woman in her right mind is going to move into a man's house where you're offering her free room and board. I don't know. It was super weird and strange. Creeper totally ish. But did you know Enon Harsh has massive charges? I think I've said this on here before, but he got caught like 5 or 6 years ago with huge weight, over 1,000 pills, pounds of weed, with ounces of Molly, and I think it was oxycodone or something like that, but hundreds of oxycodone. I'm talking like probably like $50,000 to $100,000 worth of dope. They got caught and arrested.
So he was moving real weight.
So he was moving middleman weight, like local distro weight.
Wow.
That's local distro type weight.
That's really interesting.
Isn't it?
So is that why he lives right by Frat Row? To deal to all the college kids?
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. People try to make the connections with Enon.
You know,
Enon
they say
Harsh.
Xana did a lot of Molly. Like, she did party drugs. Like, a lot of them, I'm sure, did party drugs. That's not weird at all. Like, so many college kids are gonna want to go to parties and try Molly, and it's because it's fun. You know what I mean? Like, and it's
for sure, drugs are super fun, but they
especially
are
Molly at a
party
party,
and get out of control.
and they can be very scary and get out of control. Yeah. But if you have a guy who lives right by Frat Row who has a ton of Molly and weed all the time, you don't have to drive, you know, to Washington.
Yeah.
Why not?
And there's the connection.
It's right there.
Yeah. Yep.
There is a big connection there.
Yeah, and what's interesting for those of you like I talked about a little bit ago, being a troublemaker,
yeah,
right?
Basically, Molly is basically ecstasy.
Yeah, Molly is ecstasy. But like I was saying a little bit ago, with me being a troublemaker, you guys, hanging out with those outlaw bikers and troublemakers, I got to see a certain amount of this life to where I was able to learn. You know, with ADHD, you tend to be a sponge. You pick up on everything going on around you, even when you're not paying attention to it, especially when you're not paying attention to it. But
yeah, it's super annoying.
In a situation where you have somebody that got pulled over and they have 5 or 6 different type of drugs, dope, and a large enough amount to supply multiple dealers, this person is a middleweight distro. He's a middleweight distro.
I mean, he has connections to the bigger people, and he has foot soldiers pushing it out.
The only way that you can go and get multiple different drugs is if you're working with a big distro, a large supplier. Yes. Otherwise, there is normally a person for this, a person for this, a person for this.
Yes.
It is very rare that you have one dope dealer that covers everything. It just doesn't work like that most times.
Yeah. So I wanted to say, Hudson Lindau was not at Sigma Chi before he passed away. He was at an annual ball at Delta Tau.
But he was in Sigma Chi.
How do you pronounce that?
Delta Tau Delta?
Tau, is that how you say it? Delta Tau Delta. Mm-hmm. It was their ball, and apparently some of the victims were there. Like, I think Xana and Maddie, maybe. Actually, I think Kaylee was there. I can't remember all the names now. Not all of them were there, but some of them were there.
Yeah.
I believe Maddie and her boyfriend were there.
Yeah, getting drugs now, you guys, is scary business, man.
But But I think that's important to mention
scary.
because a lot of people think he was at a party at Sigma Chi and he wasn't.
No, he wasn't. Yeah. Well, to be honest, we don't know where he was. The last place we know of was the Delta Tau Delta ball.
Right. That's the last
We don't
place.
know what happened after that.
Yeah, we don't know what happened
He
after
totally could have been at Sigma Chi, and he could have had some kind of overdose with alcohol, or they were wrestling and maybe got dropped on his neck. I don't know. You know, I'm just making random possible reasons why someone could die. But then found in the creek. And you know what's interesting is right by where he's found, you guys, it just so happens to be a dark parking lot. Just on the other side of that
that
creek.
college part. It's a university parking lot.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'd call it dark.
I don't know if it's a university, but when I was looking at it, because someone suggested this, someone that it sounds
I was
like,
looking at it very close the other day.
Someone had suggested it in the comments now that that they were digging into this or whatever, and to look at it, and I pulled it up and I was like, whoa, that is
I didn't look to see if there was any street lights when I was looking at it. But I did see a lot of U of I flags on light poles going up that street, and there's a trail right next to the creek right there. So like on one side of it's a trail, and then on the other side is a parking lot.
Yep.
And there's a bridge.
Yep. I definitely think there's something to Enon, you guys. Weirdness, right? And what's interesting is, like, one thing that we try really hard to do here is to keep the integrity of the podcast by not throwing people's full names out there to be doxxed, but being able to talk about these very real possibilities and theories from a real world perspective. And, you know, for a long time, I wasn't sure if Enon it was even worth covering. Since I saw those charges, I feel very different.
Well, to be honest, Anon, he inserted himself into this case. He put himself in the middle of it, so he's kind of asking for it. AR Hayes is in the chat.
Oh, hey, AR Hayes. And for those of you
if you go up, it'll
that don't know, AR is another thought rioter of ours and an awesome content creator. And if you guys are interested, check him out. I definitely suggest that you do it.
Yes.
But yes,
I heard Heather saying AR Hayes has a bandage on his neck right now too.
Yeah.
Which is super funny.
Yeah.
I don't know what it's from. It's only funny because you have one too.
Heather was like, I'm going to lose it if Malia shows up tonight. And then she has a bandage on her neck.
Dang, I should have put one on.
Yeah. You know, it's part of the risks of field work, you guys. Not all fights go the way you want them to. Malia's a karate champion, so, like, you know, we were fighting and it got serious, and she karate chopped my throat, and her hands are like a knife. Like knife.
It's a side effect of being a vampire. You have knife hands.
Yes, knife hands. But yeah, I think all of this situation is sketchy, and it, like I said, it's part of the reason I didn't want to premiere another video tonight, because there's so much to talk about to get caught back up on with the 4chan Idaho 4 topic. There is so much. I can't believe we didn't get to talk about Hudson Lindau and dig into the Enon Harsh stuff, and it's crazy. It's crazy. So we're gonna hopefully be able to break down some of the investigative realities with the 4chan theory and walk a lot of our new subscribers through like just how close Sigma Chi is to the house. I know a lot of you know this, but we have a lot of new subscribers, and a lot of them are coming to YouTube for our content, meaning they aren't in the normal true crime rotation, you know? So to give the rundown and explain just how likely and possible this is,
I need a cough drop.
I think it can show and or prove it all, you know? Can you grab me a cough drop? I think we need to switch over to members. Yes. All right, you guys, let me see here. I need to I need to post this one more time. So the Discord one more time for anybody that is new here. Discord is a private chat that is managed by us, and it is thought writers only. Not anyone can hop in there and chat it up, but with this link right here, you can. It is a private link, and it will allow you to come in and hang out with us for a while and talk about different theories and ideas and everything else that that we're bringing to the table. So
no way. Anon cut his hair and his eyebrows after the crime.
No way.
Nuh-uh. What? How would he know to shave his eyebrows? Wait a minute. Red flag emote, you guys. I didn't know that. He shaved his head after?
Of course you didn't. We haven't looked into Enon yet.
He used to have long hair and bushy eyebrows. No way. Now I'm gonna have to go look.
That's sketchy.
Dude, changing your look after a crime has been committed is very sketchy.
Yeah.
Especially if you know somebody saw you.
That's beginner type stuff. You got to do something like really shocking, so you know the police just think you're out of your mind. Like I would just shave a half of one of my eyebrows.
You know, I have watched like some of his interviews and stuff, like based off of what everyone said. I just thought he was looking for attention. You know what I mean? Like I don't know. He's so annoying that I was like, he's too much of a wuss. He's too much of a wussy, creepy guy.
I mean, what even is a wuss? But he comes off as a creeper to me. And the reason why, to stay objective here, is his post looking for a woman to move in for free. If you guys aren't connecting that, okay, when a creeper man puts a post out there saying, hey, college girls, I have an open room and it's free. He's saying, I have an open room and it's free as long as you know, open your legs, okay? And it was literally suggesting that in the post. So yeah, creeper, dude.
That was very forward.
It was a very forward message. It absolutely was. And it's creepy. He is a creeper because of that. No guy in their right mind is going to think that's going to work. Weird. But anyway, you guys, I think I just posted that right. So we are going to switch over now to the members only portion of the stream. Thank you for all hanging out with us. We appreciate every single one of you and love doing these. Like, it is my favorite part of the day is coming on the True Crime Talk Show and walking through all the good conversation and deep diving into the think tank ideas and theories and seeing if they hold water or not. And I mean, literally, my favorite part is doing it with you. So thank you all for being here, and thank all of the new members. Thank you, all the new members, and all the new members that got gifted a membership. You guys should be able to have something pop up on the screen here that will that'll like bump you right into the members portion. Let me just triple check real quick. Hang on. Let me look at the customize.
And please like the stream on your way out, you guys. Thank you for being here tonight. We will be back Wednesday night at 9 p.m. yet again. And we hope to see you guys then.
Okay, so actually, I don't think I had it set up to where it would automatically go. So it's a good thing that I checked real quick.
If you guys have a suggestion of something you want us to look into or information to share, definitely reach out. Comment section is actually one of the best places on YouTube to reach out, because Brendan will write it. He goes, we go through every single comment.
Yeah.
And he has a whole list. I have a whole list too. Of topics that people have suggested, and it's so many, it's hard to get to all of them.
This is a people's podcast, meaning you guys supply us with the information. You guys are literally the ones that are like teaching us. I feel like we're here to be the vocal point. So you guys put all these great minds and information into a singular point, and we're able to spread it back out and give it out to the rest of the Thought Riot community. So all right, we are making the switch now. Thank you all for being here. You should be able to have that link pop up now, and it should automatically turn into the stream. Hang on. Can I actually join that without ending that one?
Yes, but we always try to get to those topics, by the way. I didn't get to finish my thought.
No. Okay. All right. 1 minute.